What do you want to be when you grow up?
When I grow up, I'd like to be a pediatrician.
I really enjoy being a pediatrician since I follow young people from birth through college. You should like people and want to help them, but you have to plan and work hard to be a physician. So start your career with class, stay in school, and become what you want to be.
Don't pull the mic now, because I need that mic, okay?
Okay.
You go ahead and you read now.
Memphis police are discussing a drive-by shooting that happened in a short while ago on Olympic Street. On North Memphis, in the victim is critical condition at the hospital. No subjects are in custody. Another case, police have in Memphis. Nothing up there. Nothing else. Nothing up there, okay?
Okay. Memphis police are investigating a drive-by shooting that happened a short while ago on North Olympic Street in North Memphis. The victim is in critical condition at the hospital. No suspects are in custody right now. In another case, police have a Memphis man in custody for a multitude of traffic violations. Witnesses say that several hours ago, the man tried to use his car to run several people down in a crowded parking lot in North Hollywood. The man missed his intended victims, but he hit several parked cars. And the Memphis Mayor, Willie Harrington, will be answering your questions tomorrow because TV5 is airing a live call-in program called Ask the Mayor tomorrow at 6 p.m. In your Mid-South weather, the temperature right now is 58 degrees. Your Friday forecast shows the skies later today and a high of 82. Look for warmer temperatures Sunday and partly cloudy skies. The latest local news in an hour. You're watching the Mid-South only 24-hour news channel.
Are you ready?
Okay. On these bicycles, it's very important. Tennessee law does require, as does many states, it must have a headlight reflector and a taillight reflector, okay? The reason is, when you're out in traffic, the cars can see you better, all right? A lot of states go so far as to require safety helmets. Tennessee is optional at this point, okay? Now, when you ride your bike, there are several things you must remember. Prior to riding your bike, just like an automobile, you must check it out to make sure everything is working properly. The seats, the pedals, and on these pedals, it must be the ball of your foot, okay? So that helps you maintain your balance and your power, okay? Also, if 3 of you were riding down the street, you'd ride in single file, okay? If you're 18 years old or younger, you are allowed to ride your bicycle on the sidewalk, all right? If you're 18 or older, you must ride in the street. If you ride your bike in the street, you must observe all the traffic signals just the same way an automobile was, all right? All right, let's see.
Yeah, that'll be sufficient for me. I tell you what, so that we get our cutaways, if you can just go back through some of it, you know, like just touching the bike and different things,
okay,
just so we get some cutaway shots.
Okay. Feet right there when you're pedaling. Okay, go and get on your bike. Go and get on. You can get on yours too. Okay, always check, make sure everything's tight. Your handlebars tight, your seat's tight, your seat wiggling any. Make sure your pedals are on tight so they don't come off. All right. You too. All right, check your pedal. Make sure your pedal's always on tight. All right. So you got a safety reflector in the back, and you got one. Need one in the front for him. Okay. You need to get him one so the car can see him better. You've got one here, and you got one on the back too. Make sure all your spokes are in, because if you have a busted spoke, your tire might collapse on you. I'll take one busted spoke to make you have a wreck. Okay. So you have a good reflector here. See that? Now, if you're riding when the sun goes down, the car can shine their headlights and see you better. All right. So you got it going right there. So you got one on your wheels, that's good. You have one on your back wheel. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so you're in good shape there. And also on your pedal itself.
turn around and come back this way and just concentrate on where you're going. Can you get it, Robert? There you go. Smile, man.
So, Robert, we've learned a lot from this, haven't we?
Yes.
We've learned that we need head reflectors and back reflectors to be safe and things, so we won't get hit by cars.
Yeah.
And another thing we've learned is that all the time wear a helmet when you're riding your bicycle and stuff. So for those little bruises and cuts that could be prevented by it.
Well, I think that it's good to have a helmet because when the injuries come out, you're gonna have a good head.
Yeah, and a lot of kids are getting hurt on their bikes, by not wearing helmets. I think that it's great.
Yeah. I think.
From now on, we're always gonna wear a helmet.
You want him on or off?
Off.
So now, when he gives you the sign, you just walk across the street like you're crossing the street right there. He's waiting on you this time. Go. You want the other one?
Okay, hold it.
That'll be a good story. Yeah. It's just new actors there. They're working on that. That's fine. I think it's a good story.
Yeah, I be out here with him. That's not him. I'm always right there with him.
Experts say one of the best things you can get for riding protection is a bicycle helmet. Officer John Holmes says helmets come in all sizes and can prevent serious head injuries.
Well, it seems like a lot of the adults who are recreational riders do wear their helmets. The kids who are more vulnerable for accidents are the ones who should wear the helmets and don't.
Emergency room doctors say more and more children are being brought in for head injuries due to bicycle accidents. Eastwood Hospital's Dr. Russell Bias says many of the bike accident victims he treats have been hit by cars or have fallen off bikes. He says other injuries result from a lack of bike safety.
Most commonly, we see injuries to the lower extremities, legs and feet, usually resulting from inadequate clothing, children wearing short pants, and the other instances where they do not have the protection around the chains and the lower parts of the bicycles.
Okay, on these bicycles, it's very important. Tennessee law does require, as does many states, it must have a headlight reflector and a taillight reflector, okay? The reason is, when you're out in traffic, the cars can see you better, all right?
A big part of Officer John Holmes' job is teaching bike safety to area youngsters, giving tips like always cross streets at intersections and look both ways before you cross. A good tip is to stay away from busy roads and streets. And always, be on the lookout for cars and other vehicles. Police say it's also very important that you make sure your bike is working properly, especially the brakes. And if you ride at night, make sure you have the proper lights and reflective clothing.
700 Newberry Elementary School students, parents, and teachers stepped out against drugs today, carrying signs and singing the message, "Say no to drugs." Photographer Ed DeBerry went with them.
If you just say no, you can live a more healthier and longer life. And drugs are very, very bad for you.
Well, if you say no, you'll live longer and you won't mess up your life.
They get excited about school spirit. They learn that they can stick together. They learn that there is a way to say no to things that they should not be involved in, and they learn that adults are there to support them in helping make good decisions.
The parade was part of Memphis Schools' drug awareness campaign underway right now. Some parents also used it as an opportunity to drum up support for that sales tax increase.
Get off the board. You got to stay off the board. You got the board. Down in, Jay. Down in.
On the same Memphis streets, Dr. King marched on more than 3 decades ago. Hundreds of people marched, this time in honor of Dr. King. In my heart, I do believe. Dr. King came to Memphis to help striking sanitation workers with the union. In a show of respect, union members were at the front of the crowd.
To ask me, it means that he fought for us, and we love him, and he respected us.
Marchers, young, old, black, and white, each with their own story of how Dr. King impacted their lives.
My son is named in honor of Martin Luther King, and we felt that that was something that we wanted to do.
This was the day that Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, and for us marching means that we can still believe in the word that he started, and we can continue his dream that he had.
But 35 years later, have the dreams Dr. King gave his life for come true? Well, it depends on who you talk to.
Still a lot of, black people haven't reached equality yet. You know, we're still being left out, we're still being mistreated.
And it's coming a little by little. We gain a little here and slip back a little there, but things are getting better.
But these marchers say they won't rest until all of Dr. King's dreams are realized.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
I'm Robert Watson, and this is CNC.
Stax created a sound that was unique to America, a sound that took raw Memphis talent and unleashed it in a funky, gritty, down-home kind of way.
That would have worked.
Yeah, all right.
That would have worked.
Am I too happy?
Yeah, no, you need to be happy. It's a happy story.
All right.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Stax created a sound that was unique to America, a sound that took raw Memphis talent. All right. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Stax created a sound that was unique to America, a sound that took raw Memphis talent and unleashed it in a funky, gritty, down-home kind of way. Today, Memphis is a bustling city of growth and racial diversity. But more than 100 years ago, Memphis and much of America could be a dangerous place, especially if you were black.
In the South and the North, segregation and racial violence were widespread. If you were black, you could be beaten, mistreated, even lynched by white mobs.
These people were being lynched, they were being brutalized, and nobody was really speaking out.
Historian Elaine Turner says hundreds of black men and black women were murdered during the era of lynchings.
When you go back and look at the pictures of lynchings, you'll see the audience, most of them were well-dressed. They had come after church, they were cheering, they had children. I mean, this is the bestiality of that.
Nationally respected journalist and author George Curry says lynching victims were often arrested because of lies and false charges. Charges from rape to talking back to white people. One of the most horrific lynching cases happened in Memphis in March of 1892. Grocer Thomas Moss and two partners were accused of shooting at some white men. Hours later, they were dragged from their jail cell, shot, and hanged. Perhaps no one was more torn by the lynchings than a young African-American newspaper editor named Ida B. Wells. She was good friends with the grocer's family and wrote scathing articles about the murders in her black newspaper, The Free Speech.
So bold have the lynchers become, masked or laid aside. The temples of justice and strongholds of law are invaded in broad daylight, and prisoners taken out and lynched.
Wells's articles exposed the horror of lynchings. She traveled throughout the South, exposing the false charges and the racial prejudices that led to hundreds of men and women being killed.
And because of that, that's when a mob came looking for Ida B. Wells to lynch her too.
This historical marker here on Beale Street shows you where Wells's office once stood. When the mob came here to kill Wells, she was out of town on business. So instead, they burned her office and everything in it to the ground.
They destroyed her printing press, and then they let it be known that if Ida B. Wells ever returned to Memphis, she too would be lynched from a lamppost.
Wells fled and did not return to the South for 30 years. Instead, she and her husband, attorney Ferdinand Barnett, moved to Chicago and raised a family. She continued to write and speak out against racial violence under the name Ida B. Wells Barnett.
But she risked her life. I don't want people to minimize that. She risked her life every day she published, every time she would give a speech, because she had the guts to stand up and was really no risk at all.
By the time Wells died in 1931, lynchings in his practice had practically disappeared, and Wells became the woman whose crusade against lynching stopped the murderous practice in its tracks.
Wells went on to help start the NAACP, and she was also very active in getting women their right to vote. In her 69 years, Ida Wells Barnett became a major force in journalism and one of our nation's most important heroes.
If you have been injured on the job or in an automobile accident, call the Payne Law Firm at 524-1177. Get an experienced attorney like Jerome C. Payne that will make the difference and get you what you deserve. The Payne Law Firm will help you recover from your injuries and get results. Experienced, competent, and professional. Attorney Jerome C. Payne will make house calls. Jerome C. Payne, attorney at law, 524-1177. He will not rest until you are free. Are creditors harassing you at home and on the job? Call the Payne Law Firm at 524-1177. Stop harassing phone calls, evictions, foreclosures, garnishments, repossessions, and lawsuits. On October 17th, the bankruptcy laws will change. Call attorney Jerome C. Payne at 524-1177 for your free consultation. Put an end to creditors' harassment. Payne Law Firm, 524-1177. He will not rest until you are free.